Good morning, team. It is quarter past six in the morning now. Day of race day. So I've just gotten up, gotten ready. Everything's in my car. You can't see much, and I'm just about to go pick up my lovely partner, and then we'll head up to Hampton Downs for my race, for my first endurance race. How good! All right, we've made it to the track. People are coming in with all their race cars. Mine's just back there. I'll go to the garage, say hi to the team, and then we'll see how we go from there. Say hello. So here we are in practice / qualifying. Both are run in the same session, so practice is qualifying at the same time. We're just changing out the wet tyres for the dry tyres here, or semi-slicks, because well, in the morning it was very wet and it poured down a little bit, whereas now it is quite a bit drier. The cars have gone round for a few laps, so there's actually a dry line, and we would like a good qualifying position, so they're just changing out the tyres here. You can see when Nathan grabs a tyre there how much tread, or how much lack of tread there is on that wet tyre compared to the semi-slicks that we just put on. So these will give us a lot more contact patch with the track, so we'll be able to, well, we will be able to grab a couple more tenths out of that car. Alright, so we've just done qualifying. Unfortunately it was a little bit short, but it's still all good. We've qualified in a decent position. We've got the Firecracker race now, which is about a 40 lap race, first car to 40 laps. I'll jump in for the second half of that. We're going to do a bit of a driver change in the middle of it, and then after that we've got 3 hour and the 6 hour race both combined. So the 3 hour race will end in the middle of the 6 hour. The cars will just come into the pit lane while the 6 hour keeps going. Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll see what happens. So here we are on board with Dane. We're just going to run a quick lap with him. This is the lap before his in-lap when I'm going to jump in the car. So we come up to turn 1 here. Now Dane has a bit of a different driving style to what I typically do. I'd heel toe here and be a lot smoother on throttle, but he's a little bit less smoother on throttle, and I guess it works for him, but I could not see myself driving like that at all. So then we come into turn 2, brake quite late. The car gets very skiddly and squirrely under the brakes, as you can see when he oversteers as soon as he hits the brakes. This part here is quite nice. He goes right out to the edge of the track there and then comes over. I'm quite violent coming over onto the side of the track, so it's cool to see another example. And then just power out of this next corner here, using most of the track again. He's just got no chance in a straight line against that 1 Series Beamer in front of him, which is a shame. That's what you'll find often with this car, is that you're so good in the corners, but then as soon as you hit a straight line, there's quite a few BMWs in this race, and yeah, most of them will pull away from you in a straight line, even at a Honda K20, which you'll see further in the video, pull away. So then he's coming around this last corner here. He's been told to box. Surprised at how early he actually pulls his radio and drink out, which is that little red thing he's going to pull out right now. Yep. So he's got a hook there to pull both out at the same time. Comes into pit lane. There's that Honda I was talking about before. And nice one-hand pit entry. Now this part here, I wouldn't say got pissed off about, but it annoyed me a little bit. This Beamer there was a bit of a miscommunication there on who was going first, and just wasted quite a bit of time. Now, technically this race was meant to be a test session, and I'm pretty sure most other people did consider it that, but I wanted it to be a race. I still considered it a race as much as I was meant to learn the car and do the test session. So now we've got Dane jumping out. I'm going to jump in here. Quite slowly though, because we're not in a big rush. While I did say it was a race, it is still meant to be just practice for me in the car, because this is the first time that I've ever driven this car. There we go, Nathan plugs my radio in. And we're just going to do a quick radio check after my belts have been done up. So ignition and then turn the key.
No, turn key, then ignition, then turn the key again.
And there's me asking the start process of the car. It is a bit of a weird one because essentially the system's been rewired, so you have to turn the key to on, hit that ignition button, and then crank the key to turn the motor over and get it started, rather than just the regular one-click, two-click motor start and then back to one again. And so now I don't need to wait for fuel, so I just get the go-ahead from Nathan. Key, button, and then crank. And now I just need to remember it's in to put it into gear, and we're off. So the national speed limit around pit lanes in New Zealand is 40 kilometers an hour. I should have gotten a little up to speed a little bit quicker, but I haven't sat in a race car for a very long time, so I just wanted to get used to it again. There you can see my speed. I also was very conservative on pit exit here. I didn't want to slam into a massive concrete wall the first time out. But what I liked about this is that right away, I'm full throttle. I immediately get onto it, check my mirror to see if there's anyone coming, and then just test the brakes, see how good they are. The brakes in this car are very soft, very, very soft, so it's quite hard for me to heel toe downshift. And yeah, just feeling the car out for the first lap at least, because once again, I don't know this car. I certainly can't afford to crash it, so I definitely want to be on the safe side, especially for an endurance race like this, where, well, this technically wasn't the endurance race, but I would have liked the car to be in one piece for the 3 hour and 6 hour race. And so I'm just kind of catching a little bit of oversteer, understeer everywhere, trying to feel it out. You'll see by the actions in my steering wheel. See me here trying to shake a little bit, trying to feel what the car needs. Can it take more? Can it not take more? And it could take more. I definitely wasn't pushing anywhere hard enough. So that's my first lap out, already done. And so now we're just gonna jump ahead to to my first big moment where I thought I was definitely gonna lose it. So we're just coming down into the dipper now. I've already learned how to push the car a lot harder than it already has. As you can see, I'm already using all the curb available on exit there. And now coming into this final turn, this is where I had a pretty scary moment because it's getting a little bit more wet, and I think I just turned in a little bit too quickly. I don't know how I managed to save that, but I was pretty happy with myself after I did that. But now I was getting a lot more careful. Thankfully the team didn't see that. Now I'm just going to run through my fastest lap. It is getting a little bit more wet, but the track itself is drying out. There's still a little bit of rain, so nice heel toe downshift into turn 1, really late exit, and I catch a little bit of oversteer right out to the edge of the track, and then coming into turn 2 I don't upshift. Just a nice clean downshift, and really using the curb despite it being quite wet. Some of them were alright to use and then other ones weren't. Coming out to the edge of track again, see there, it gets a little bit squirrely again under the brakes. It just likes to do that. The rear just kind of comes around when you brake. Using all of the track once again. Now coming into the dipper, this is probably one of the scariest braking zones aside from turn 1. And I think I just went a little bit too wide there. I probably could have taken that a bit tighter, but I did set myself up for a very nice exit. Coming down the straight now, we just brake just at the 50 board, and I get a little bit of entry oversteer again. It's just the way this car handles. It is quite fun once you learn to deal with it properly. And then I don't want to get on the painted line there just because it would be too slippery for me to get any traction out of there. And then so I ended up being quite a bit quicker than Dane, which I was pretty happy with after I found out after the race that I was quicker than Dane, which is cool. And then here we have another scary moment coming into the last turn. This one, however, Nathan did see while he was spotting me. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as bad as the first one anyway, but you know, it would have been an amazing lap. It would have been a 26.9 or a 26.8 if the delta was right. So yeah, it was a shame that I lost that one. This is where the first safety car came in, and it's because a Beamer, once again, it's always the Beamers that are causing the issues, probably because they're just rear wheel drive and people don't really know how to drive them in the wet, but I actually nearly lost it there myself. But as you can see, he's beached up on that hill there, so safety cars come out and it ends up just being a red flag, because I think we were a good 3/4 through the race and there just wasn't a point in getting the Beamer back and doing a 1 or 2 lap shootout, so the race organisers just decided to call it, which fair enough. I would have liked to have a few more laps in the car, especially in the weather conditions. That would have helped me, but you know, it is what it is. I can't argue with them. And so we're just coming into pit lane very slowly here. So what we're meant to do, this was before the race organisers decided to finish the race early, is we're all meant to line up in pit lane. So car 1, or whoever's in first, will go and line up at the front of pit lane, and then we'll all just line up in one big line while they sort it out. But then it just took too long to sort out, so we didn't end up restarting. So eventually I just went around the front of the garages and then just drove around the back to my garage. So we just finished the Firecracker race, which I was in, and everything went really well. So aside from the red flag, one of the BMWs spun off at the exit of the dipper, and wasn't great, but aside from that, I'm comfortable with the car. I'm quite quick, I hope. I haven't compared times yet, but so far so good. We've just started the 6-hour or 3-hour and 6-hour race. We're already up like 2 or 3 positions from the start. It is a little bit wet, so we'll see if that clears up. I hope it does, because I really like my stint to be dry, just because I'm not as confident in the wet. But we'll see how it goes. Everything so far is going really well. A few things with the car. There's like a steering rack, maybe a steering rack issue. The light keeps flickering, but other than that, everything's mint. It's perfect. So I'll update you when I get to my stint, which is in 1.5 hours. Here we are gearing up for my stint. Nathan's just yelling at me to get my gloves on, or yelling that Dane's in pit lane. I think I took my time a little bit too sweetly with this one. I should have gotten ready a little bit further before, a little bit earlier. Luckily this was under a safety car though, so we didn't have to rush the process too much, but we would have still liked to get it done as quickly as possible. So I managed to jump in. Unfortunately I mounted my GoPro too low to actually see anything out of the car, which I didn't test before. I should have. And so Nathan's just going to grab my aux cord, or something like an aux cord, for the radio. We're going to do a radio check.
Radio check.
Copy, can you hear me? Yep, all good to go.
Hold your belts tight. Hang on.
Moss just needs to quickly do my lap belt up before he puts the ones over my shoulders, otherwise they won't fit. Nathan starts the GoPro. There we go. And I just need to wait with turning the engine on, just because they need to refuel. And there we go, they've just finished that. So yeah, I'm not allowed to have the engine on while refueling. No one else is allowed to be working on the car while we're refueling, just because it's a safety issue. So we only have one dedicated fire extinguisher guy and one dedicated fuel guy who do the fuel who do the fuel both together at the same time. So coming out of pit lane here, immediately I see the issue, which is a beamer blocking the exit of pit lane. So now once again another beamer. Unfortunately quite a nice one, to be honest. That Futuro trailer ones looks amazing. So now I'm just asking if I can weave just to warm up the tyres a little bit, because we've been sitting for a while. I cut out most of the fuel sequence. And now it ended up being a red flag, so just because the car is blocking, you know, pit exit and everything, it's just not safe if someone comes firing out of pit lane and doesn't see them early enough because they're too busy checking their mirror or blind spot. So safe call from race control once again. Just another red flag, and I have to sit and wait for things to clear up, or the guys to clear up. So now we've gone out a couple laps under the safety car, and now we are just about to start our first proper endurance stint in the endurance race. So this is still a 3 hour. I've hopped in after 1.5 hours, so my stint should be another 1.5 hours as well. I should have closed the gap a lot more to that Celica ahead of me. Very poor restart from myself. And now there's the Civic that we're quite close on pace with. You can see him in my rearview mirror. And so we're just going to switch to my helmet cam here, just because I think it gives a better perspective of the battle that we were having. So the Civic is quite a bit faster in a straight line. I'm a lot better on the brakes, and in some of the corners, in some of the higher speed corners, I believe I'm better than lower speed corners, I'm better than the Civic. So I managed to get away from him there. We've got the Falcon in front of us. Very dodgy car on the brakes and on throttle. You'll see he really flicks the rear end out when he gets on throttle here. There you go. He was doing that all race. And then we've got another Integra up here who's in a faster class than me. And so now it's just a matter of trying not to lose as much time as possible behind or in front of this lapped or faster class traffic than me, just because I need to keep that Civic behind me, because that Civic and I are in the same class. So there's a Mazda RX-8 on our inside now. He's just gonna pass me once we come up the straight. And now we're just gonna switch back to the onboard camera, just because that battle between the Civic and I calmed down a little bit. The RX-8 actually brakes really early and on an interesting line into turn 1, and loses himself quite a bit of time there. I'm just trying to feel the car out again, just because it's my first few laps. I don't want to be sending it off at turn 1 into the barrier. Here we can see the Falcon locking up a couple of times there. Now if you look 4 cars ahead, there's a Toyota, I believe it's a Trueno AE101 or AE111. Managed to get a nice overtake on the Falcon around the outside there. That was pretty cool. And so this Trueno here will be my downfall, because I made a pretty big mistake. He is quite a bit quicker in a straight line than me, but then on the brakes and in the corners, once again this car is just amazing at that. So we try to get a good exit here. Then there he goes, starting to pull away again. Now this is where I started making my mistake. We've got the Civic right next to us. He's really squeezing us real tight. In fact, I get back on throttle again just to get ahead of him a little bit. He's so close. If you look at my rearview mirror, you can see how close he is. And then here's where I made my mistake. I thought because that Trueno was quicker in a straight line that it would accelerate out of the corner quicker, but it in fact did not, and I had to back out of it. So the Civic got past me pretty easily, and then another Beamer comes up behind me. I actually have a pretty good battle with this Beamer in the latter part of my stint. So yeah, that was unfortunate, and then we managed to just get past. I couldn't tell if the Trueno was going to cut straight back in or not, but I played it safe and backed out of it, because I know in this next braking zone, as soon as I hit the brakes, he's going to be behind me. And then yeah, there we go. I've passed him. You can see him in my other rearview mirror, my wing mirror. And now this problem here was with the Beamer is, once again, similar situation, fast in a straight line, but then when it gets on the brakes and into the corners, it just wasn't as fast as I was. And now we're going to cut to where it actually started pouring down with rain. I was kind of terrified that this would happen because I've never driven in the wet, or I've never raced in the wet, let's put it that way. Never driven at pace on a racetrack in the wet. So I'm really just trying to feel the car out as much as I can now. And as this is happening, previous couple laps when it was pouring down, this was fine, but now I just overdo it a little bit and get on the grass, and it doesn't look as bumpy on the camera, but man, you could feel it through your bum how bumpy the exit of that track there is. So yeah, it wasn't a great performance of me. What happened was I just got on throttle and the front started to slip a little bit, so I tried to catch it, it wasn't catching, and then I overcorrected it too much and it started oversteering, and then we went off again. So now I'm being really, really careful. I've let the team know I've gone off, and Nathan's just telling me to be a little bit more careful just because it's starting to really come down. But then a couple corners later, same thing happens again. I try to push the car a little bit too much and there's just no grip at all. Like, you can see me trying to turn and it's just not working. It's like I'm just sliding. Well, I am just sliding. I'm just understeering off. So it was quite scary. At that point I'd really toned it back quite a bit more than what I was doing when it first started raining. And here we've got another Beamer just coming past. Different Beamer again. There's a lot of BMWs in this race. And so here you can see now I'm being extremely careful on throttle, like really, really careful, because I don't want to have something like that happen again. Worst case, I get beached, or even worse, I somehow skate across the gravel and just into the wall, which would not be ideal. There you can see me lift in a straight line because I noticed I was aquaplaning and did not want to deal with that on a straight. And so now I'm going to cut down to even more, where it's pouring down even more. The track is like wet. You can see the reflection on some parts of it, and then I'm just spinning up the wheels. I'm going up a hill at the same line that I usually would. In fact, I'm not on the rubbered in line there. I'm just spinning up the wheels. Yeah, it's wet, man. Like, it's seriously pouring down. And then same thing again here. I think that HQ comes past me pretty quickly. And I just notice, the steering goes soft. I'm like, shoot, and I'm like, that time I was actually quite close to the grass, so I really had to back out of it. It's scary driving in the rain, man. Like, yeah, it was a wild experience, that's for sure. A couple laps later, we've actually caught up to some traffic. There goes that white Beamer again, passing me. Now this is something that I hadn't experienced before, only really on the sim, is just spray. Like, this 320i E46 comes past me, another Beamer. I just can't see a thing. Like, look at that. I brake quite early there just because I'm scared. I'm really scared because I don't want to suddenly see a pair of brake lights. It's a lot slower than me. Yeah. And that's just a Mazda Excella there. I'm pretty sure that thing is bone stock aside from a roll cage and and some bucket seats. I don't think there's any suspension, anything engine-wise done to it. But would you believe it? It's still faster in a straight line than the Suzuki Swift I'm driving right now. And it is a fair amount slower than my car. I think it was actually the only one in its class, which was the slower class in mine. And so I just try to... I know it's not as quick in the corners either, so yeah, I just go for it, send around the outside and get it done. I managed to get a little bit more traction out of it, or out of the corner, than the accelerator itself, and then another beamer comes past me there. And so a lap later, had another pretty scary moment, this time in the actual endurance race. I just overdid it there. I asked too much of the car and the rear just started to come round. Luckily I caught it though, because that's not a good place to spin at the dipper, especially in the middle of the track. And so we just cut to the safety car restart here. There was a safety car for another incident. Couldn't tell you what it was though, I didn't see it myself. And I really need to work on my restarts because this is just not, it's not good, man. Like, you see how far behind I am to that Sirocco, that Golf Sirocco up ahead, and the gap between him and the HQ is just tiny. So, but once again, I'm just experiencing that spray a little bit too much, so I back out of it there just because I couldn't see much and I didn't know who was doing what. That Sirocco backs out as well, so good thing I backed out, otherwise I would have been in a bit of trouble there. There goes the SsangYong Ute. That thing's actually crazy quick, and I'm just you see the SsangYong Ute up my inside and then the beam around my outside. I really have to keep my eyes on the mirrors here because I really don't want to end up getting in the way of someone else. And that's the thing you have to learn as a slower car, when to be predictable and when you need to move out of the way, and definitely when you should be looking in your mirrors. Another lap or two later, just coming round the exit of pit lane, and my good mate in the Falcon, not really my good mate, just a car I've kind of been around the whole race, very very slow coming out of pit lane, so I really have to, I waste no time in passing him. I did get really sketchy here though. Luckily that outside part was quite dry. But you see, with all that time I lost right there, I'm still able to pass the Falcon, so he's not pushing at all. Luckily I didn't go off there again, because that would have been my second time going off there. Not a very good look for me. And so, start of the next lap, I'm not 100% sure why the Beamer was so slow coming out of this corner here, but there was also a Civic coming out of pit lane here, the Dad's Army dive bombing. I wasn't sure if he was going to pull across or not, so I just kind of lifted off the throttle a little bit, just to make sure I wasn't going to get into any trouble with that car. And so now we're stuck behind this Beamer. I've explained this problem before. Faster in a straight line, really not good at all in the corners. So I'm just trying to line up a move here on him, and I do actually get around the outside of him, which is pretty cool. Just get a better exit out of the corner, stay alongside him, and then the next corner's on the inside for me, so through the dipper all I need to do is maintain the pace that I have been throughout the rest of the race, and there we go. Now one problem that doesn't really get talked about, or that I haven't talked about so much, is the fogging up on my passenger side window. I can't actually see anything in the mirror or in the wing mirror unless someone has their lights on. So that was quite scary for me because I like to know what's going on around me. I need to know whether there's a faster car coming up behind me, or if, you know, how close I am to track limits and so on. So I really like having that mirror available. And here we see the Beamer get past me again just because of its straight line speed. But yeah, that was kind of freaking me out just a little bit because I'm not comfortable when I don't know what's going on around me. So I don't know how people drive open wheelers, man. That's a different story because those mirrors are tiny and you can't see much out of them. So huge respect to open wheel drivers. And now I've just got shine and spray, which wasn't really nice, but you know, it was part of racing once again. And so this is going to be another problem here again. Beamer's not fast in this section of the track, so I'm really trying to get past him properly, which is hard to do when when it's just so easy to pass me on a straight line. So the problem here is I'm losing time trying to pass the Beamer in the technical sections, and then he's just blast past me on the straight. So technically he's not actually losing any time compared to what I'm doing in the technical section of the track, which is kind of a hard one to live with, but it's just the way it is. Can't do much about it, so I just have to keep pushing. So coming into this turn again, I'm being very, very careful. I can still see that the reflection is on the track, so I know there's quite a bit of standing water there. So I'm still feathering the throttle, and I even get a little bit of understeer there. But the Beamer tends to take that corner a lot quicker than me, so he actually gets past me on a lot earlier part of the straight now, as well as that Renault Clio Cup car. So what that means to me is that I don't have to worry about running into him in the technical part of the track anymore, which it was cool, like doing overtakes and stuff on a much faster car than my one, but even in a faster class car. But it was really hurting my pace. So to have that Beamer pass me so early on the straight, immediately it clicked. I won't have to run into any more problems with him. I'm going to get pretty close to him on this next lap here, but I will not have to worry about passing him or losing any time trying to take alternate lines, which is cool, because it means I can just focus on my race and focus on doing what I can do to keep my pace up. So after a couple of laps, I've lost a little bit of time to the Beamer. That's fine, he's in a different class. That SsangYong Ute comes past and me again, and now our old mate in the Civic, who really, really squeezes me. He really likes to get close to my car, but I managed to outbrake him, and I do keep him behind but as usual, I don't make use of all the exit on the track there for my specific reason of I'm just too scared to go off again. So the Civic does get a much better exit than I do, and of course, given it's quite a bit quicker in a straight line too, yeah, it just passes me. I try to pull to the outside of the track after checking my mirror, of course, to get a better exit, but I think in the end that kind of just compromised me even more, because I didn't actually get the exit that I wanted to, just because I might have not taken the perfect line that I should have to get that kind of exit. So I do end up getting stuck behind the Civic. Well, I wouldn't say stuck, he was actually quite quick and speeding up over the course of the stint. You can see I'm really pushing to get past him there, like pushing the car to its limit, but it's just not working properly. I was kind of hoping that the Civic and the Beamer would have a little bit of a fight together, but they just ended up not really working together, but at quite a similar pace. As you can see, I'm still quite close to the Beamer. I haven't lost too much time to him, but given that the Beamer is quicker in a straight line and not so much the corners, but the Civic is quicker in the corners and a straight line, it just eventually is going to get past the Beamer, I was going to say. But that won't end up happening, because as you'll see in a moment, there will be another safety car. And here's me coming into pit lane to do my driver swap for that safety car. Not sure what it was this time either, but yeah. I wouldn't say cut my stint short, but it was not a surprise that there's another safety car in wet weather. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was another Beamer either, to be honest. But yeah, so I come into pit lane here. So I've been told by Nathan to just undo my belt, take my plug out. I need to turn the wheel, because in the first stint Dane actually hit someone, and that gave us a bit of a toe angle issue. So if you're paying attention during the video, you could actually see my wheel was slightly, I'd say like maybe 5 to 10 degrees to the right. Just, it wasn't completely straight. I got to reach for my cable again because I didn't realize I've already taken it out, and it's in my lap. And so now I'm just waiting for them to finish fueling up, and then once they do that, I can jump out of the car. There you go. Nathan runs to the other side to get the belts back up. I'm not as good as Dane is by managing to get the belts outside of the seat before the driver jumps in. So this is Dion jumping in here. Plugs his aux cord in. Does the belts up. Once again, not a huge rush, but we still want to get it done real quickly because it is under a safety car.
Give me a nod if you got.
Yep, there we go. He's good to go. Radio check is done. And he's good to go. No one coming through in pit lane, so straight out to the fast lane. He does a lot better job than I of getting up to 40 k's an hour properly. And that's what I should have done, was going to second gear. And there we go. That's Dion's stint started. Alright, so finished my stint about a half hour ago, and it was tough, man. It was really tough. The rain poured down, then it got dry, then it started raining again, and then it was dry. It was back and forth a lot. So we did make up some good ground. We had a bit of contact in the first stint from another driver, and we had to come in for an emergency wheel change just because the rim got chipped really badly. But yeah, overall very happy with my stint. It felt like forever, man. 1.5 hours in a racing car just takes the wind out of you. But yeah, it was good. I had some really good battles. Just happy with it. We're P3 in class right now, P8 overall I believe, so yeah, really good.
Is that good? All right, let's get it on, baby. So let's start with the rocket class. We're going to give away first to thirds this year, all the way through the season. And the field is actually growing nicely. So in the rocket class, in third, and I'll bring all of you up onto the podium instead of doing it all one at a time, which will rip through it a bit quicker. The SIXT Suzuki Swift, number 55. SIXT Suzuki Swift. Put your hands together. So there they are, put your hands together please, the Camo Parts Firecracker rockets. Woo! We better post them their trophy, eh? You don't need to stand on the podium, just stand at the... I'll stand. Massive bastards. Right, now not first, no. Oi, oi, oi. All right, second place GT 6 hour, the SIXT Suzuki Swift team. Woo! Well done again. Well done, boys. And in first place, the Trebs. Get in behind. Come on, get in behind. Come on up, gentlemen. Ladies. Settle in, settle in. Hold your trophies up, boys and girls. There they are. GT 6 hour. Thank you, thank you.
Hey team, finished the race in P2. It was so close, so close. If just a few things didn't happen, we would have been P1 in class. But you know, it's the way racing is. And P2 for my first endurance race, I'm still really happy with that. We did an awesome job as a team. It's amazing, man. Good feeling. Got some trophies. Yeah, and I'm just so happy I'm able to do this. Thank God for the position that I'm in. Yeah, and well, we'll see if I'm back for some more. It's pretty expensive still. Racing's always going to be expensive, so I just need to sort a few things out. Hopefully get some sponsors after something like this. And yeah, well, see how it is when we get back. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a heck of a day, so we'll catch up soon.